This is the Sarajevo City Hall. Built in the 19th century, its features remind one of architecture found elsewhere in the so-called Muslim world. Horseshoe arches, elaborate decorations, and colorful ornaments. Features that make you believe that you are in the Muslim world. This style was applied to all kinds of buildings across Bosnia and gained popularity amongst wealthy Bosnian Muslims like Mehmed Aga Kučukalić, who built himself a villa in that style. There is a reason why this style was so widely used by the government and some individuals of that time, even though it had nothing to do with Bosnia. After over 400 years, the Ottoman rule of Bosnia ended in 1878 with the occupation by Austria-Hungary. During that time, the neglected Ottoman province underwent a modernization of its infrastructure, education, and architecture that would change Bosnia forever. But the modernization of the province was linked to the notion that Bosnia belonged to the underdeveloped Orient, which could only be civilized and modernized with the help of a European power. Bosnia was seen as a prime example of progress and successful colonial policy. Therefore, a functioning administration of the country was of utmost importance for the new government that sought to win over the wealthy Muslims who formed the country's elite. In exchange for their loyalty, they received high political and religious positions. Mehmed Aga Kučukalić was one of them, son of a wealthy merchant, a businessman himself, and later becoming the mayor of Brčko, the city where he built his villa. The buildings that emerged as part of this modernization often resembled architecture found elsewhere in the Muslim world. The architects of the Danube monarchy drew in various elements that conveyed an oriental feel. These included jagged cornices, arabesque decorations, horseshoe-shaped windows, and horizontally shaped facades. Using this style for modern needs represented an orientalizing approach in which the Orient was not capable of independent modernization, but could only achieve it through European help. This style was seen as a revival of the so-called Arabian style in Bosnia, referencing buildings from Andalusia or Egypt, though disregarding the indigenous architecture of the country. The European fascination with the Orient encouraged tourism within Bosnia. In addition to the existing Ottoman architecture, the orientalizing style was used to emphasize the country's oriental character and meet European expectations. Some buildings were positioned in a way that caught the eyes of travelers. For example, this town hall on the border river with Croatia, or this train station which was used to enter Bosnia. Another possible function of the style was to win the sympathies of Muslims. It was possibly an attempt by Austria-Hungary to connect with the Islamic architecture of Bosnia, albeit from a misunderstanding to gain legitimacy through continuity among the Muslim population. Accordingly, the style was primarily applied to buildings used by Muslims. Although the buildings left an Oriental impression, the structures often followed a European layout. One typical exception may have been the houses of wealthy Muslims, such as the Villa Kučukalić. A traditional Muslim townhouse could roughly be divided into two areas: the men's area, which served for the interaction with the outside world, and the women's area, which was intended for the family life. With the modernization of the country, typical European typologies, such as the villa, also found their way among Muslims, while retaining some of their old characteristics. This is also the case with the Villa Kučukalić, built in 1907. Outwardly, it follows the European typology of a villa, symmetrical, freestanding, and having an ornate facade, in this case an orientalizing one. But internally, the old division into a men's and women's area, which can be accessed through several entrances, was still present. This phenomenon can also be observed in other villas of that time. The motivation behind Mehmed Aga's choice of style can only be speculated upon. Did he see it as part of his modern Muslim life or as a symbol of solidarity with the government? The town hall where he would serve as a mayor was also built in the same style. Despite its immense historical value, the villa has received little attention from the authorities in recent years, ultimately leading to its decay, even though it is a symbol for a radical societal change in Bosnia where entire worldviews were altered and shaped.